Oh, hello people. Hello Facebook Live. I am so glad you're here. I hope you can see the whole flip chart. If not, send me some notes. I plan on doing these Wednesdays around noon. But today we got disrupted. My mom had physical therapy. And this will be your last gorgeous Facebook Live. This is my last Wednesday here. I'll be flying home next Wednesday. I've been here since March 9th, and I have loved actually the weather, as you might imagine. Today, I really want to take some time to share with you this week's podcast. This week's podcast that is live, was live last Monday. It's now the 18th of April to date this, and it came live Monday morning, as usual, Empowered Wellness for Leaders. And what I want to do is help cover this episode and be in a position, even if you post after you're watching the replay, if you have a question and you want to dig in more with these tools, I want to be right there for you. These concepts are so simple, but we need a little direction, a little understanding of how to apply them into our own lives. So today I'm talking about fuel testing, and this is all around filtering, fuel testing, what the advice in the world, the info that is around all the time around food, the studies that you hear around food that we often hear in the media, and the big word they. Okay, so fuel testing, and let me know if you're there. Say hello. I see there are a couple people live. Let me know who you are. I want to say hello. Fuel testing is really filtering all of this and letting your body lead the conversation of choosing what foods go into your diet in a majority fashion. Fuel testing is not about eating perfect. Of course, I've never been that person. Once I learned that, it was magic that I didn't have to be perfect around my food. And, oh, Susie, hi. Hi there, Susie Rosenstein. You know what I'm talking about here. So it is taking an opportunity to eat different foods and really pay attention to what your body is saying afterwards. And we're going to talk about some key questions to ask yourself so you know whether that food is fuel for you. But what happens is our mind gets very, very full of this stuff. And this is what I want to share with you and help you understand. We get a lot of advice. We get advice and beliefs around food from our parents. It's how the whole belief system around food, and whether we ate in a big family or we had a dieting mother or any of that. There's a lot of advice and things in our brain around what good foods are, which good foods we should eat. Then there's just info. I mean, I don't know anybody that doesn't talk about the most recent diet or, have you tried Whole30, things like that. There's a lot of info out there. Then there's studies, and the media plays into this one, and there's a new thing that either causes cancer or is totally amazing for us, and it varies all the time, and actually all these studies compete. Now, I'm not saying denying all this information. This is where we use almost this whole thing could be the they. We take the they and we filter it through fuel testing, which I'm going to teach you in this video today, and we learn and let our body lead. And remember, I said learn. This is a learned practice. This is not something that comes naturally to us because we've let our brain do all the decision making around food. And that's what's really gotten us off track. I'm a coach who helps people that are so busy they don't think they can take care of their health. And it's just another project. It's just something else that they need to do. And I actually help people intersect their busiest times of their lives when they're making transitions and help them to learn to eat intuitively, whether they need to lose weight or not, but learn to eat intuitively in a way that really empowers them, that really helps them to be fueled well, always mentally aware, that kind of thing. So that's my goal here in teaching you this tool, that you just don't have to think about it so much. So it is work to learn the fuel testing. It is work, but it's very, very simple. It takes some practice. So practicing stopping even after a meal and asking some of the questions I'm going to share with you, which are the food tests, the fuel tests. But it takes some practice of these questions, going meal after meal and looking at it. And it takes some trial and error. I will never forget, I'm going to share this story. I had a belief that I was eating brunches after really big races. I used to be a runner. And when I ran a 10K, I knew I could handle all the calories of an Eggs Benedict. Normally I wouldn't be eating that food very often, but that was my race day, prize. Well, I felt really, really tired after those meals, and I thought it was because of the running. It wasn't because of the running. And it took me 3 more races over probably like 6 months' time to figure out that it was the egg yolk that was bothering me. I cut out the grits, I cut out the bread, I cut out the cheese, I cut out all these different things, and guess what happens? I figured out that egg yolks make me very sleepy and I feel terrible after eating them. I started eating egg whites in all my meals at brunch and I feel fabulous, right? So it takes some trial and error. That's just one example. Sometimes it takes some tweaks. Sometimes, like for me, I can eat bread and I can probably eat more of it, and this gets into situational a little bit. I can eat more of it when I'm really doing a lot of high intensity working out. I can do it when I'm running. I can do it when I've done a cycle class and 3 weightlifting classes. I can handle a lot more bread. Now, I don't eat a lot of white bread. I don't love how I feel when I eat white bread, but this is where the tweaks, it takes learning what works, and there might be a percentage game that you play based on the situation. So again, it is work to learn this tool, but it takes just a little practice, a little trial and error, some tweaks here and there, and just looking at the situation. There's some days, like when I used to be a runner, I would literally have oatmeal in the morning. I never eat it. It's not a fuel food for me, but it was the best thing on race day because it calmed my nervous stomach down, and it was a perfect carb for that kind of day. So why would it be worth doing this work? Why do I even teach this work? I want you to know I teach the hunger scale and fuel testing to every client I work with. Okay, I work with people that just are experiencing stress. I work with people for life coaching. I do work with people for weight loss or maintaining or just feeling better. Why would I teach this tool along with the hunger scale to everybody I work with? Because when we move this to a more intuitive place, wait for it, mic drop, we get more intuitive about our lives and the decisions we make in our business. When I'm eating more and in a very intuitive way, in a lean way, in a way my body really loves, I call it living life awake. I'm not fluffing things up with wine, a lot of wine. I'm not perfect, remember. With a lot of wine or a lot of like sugar and flour or processed food. And therefore, I can think more clearly or get more indications about what I should be doing in my business, or actually know when I am freaking out. And instead of denying that, I kind of walk into it and instead of buffering it with food. And so I teach my clients really to start living life awake. And we just don't have time to be thinking all day about food. I don't know about you. I spent most of my life in a lot of drama around food choices. So I'm going to sell you on the fact that this is worth it. What you'll see if you do fuel testing and start eating more of your fuel, not what the world says, your fuel, you will have more energy, a lot more peace around food, and it decreases cravings. If you're experiencing a lot of cravings, I would just entertain the thought that there's something in your diet that is kicking that in. It could be sugar, it could be flour, it could be something else. It's dairy. And that when we are experiencing cravings, that is a sign that we're eating some foods that are not fuel for us. So if you eat more fuel and learn what is fuel for you, you'll have better energy, much lower cravings, and true appetite awareness. Wouldn't you love to be able to trust your appetite? The best way to trust your appetite is be eating lean, amazing fuel. And not perfectly, but eating lean, amazing fuel. And I talk about the concepts of perfect, talk about savoring, and other concepts that I've not covered yet in the videos, but they'll be up soon. But this one's just primarily around fuel. I do have a hunger scale podcast as well as savor, slow and savor, and those all interrelate with the food work I'm talking about today. All right, how in the world do we test our fuel? You do it by 3 criteria. Every time you eat a food, you want to be asking, does it sustain you for 2 to 3 hours? Are you not distracted by food during that time? Are you really calmed down because that food works for you? So that is the first criteria. Then the next, and this is my favorite, do you feel good, light, and energetic after you eat that food? I learned that kale was my fuel when I started eating more kale salads. I can't get enough of them. I love them. I have this buzzy, in a good way, not like caffeine, but I have a really cool light energy when I eat something with kale. And so I honor that. I put that more in my diet. I even got I fought in a book club party. I love this. I hope some of my book club friends are. There was a 50 Shades of Kale cookbook, and I literally traded like 3 times in this white elephant exchange so I could get the kale cookbook. And they thought I was just like doing it because I'm the wellness coach. I was like, oh no, I love kale, and I wanted more creative ways to cook it. Isn't that fun? So the last but not least, and this is really fun, if you are trying to eat more to your appetite, when you eat fuel, it's really easy to stop at +2. There's a reason, people, that we can stop eating an apple when we're full, but it's hard to stop eating potato chips. I don't have any trouble. I am not a food Nazi. I love tortilla chips, and I'm kind of picky about what they are. I can eat those in a way that I can eat a few and I can let them go. Potato chips, oh my goodness. They are so not fuel for me, right? That is an indication. I'll eat them with a lunch, and I literally will go back to the bag 3 times that afternoon, or want to. And I'm finding that with corn chips, have that with a little hummus or have it in it with a taco salad, I'm fine. It's not, I have no drama around it. My body doesn't have any drama or reaction. So if you're finding that that food really does sustain you, you feel good after a meal, light and energetic, and also easy to stop at +2, that is your fuel. So it's time to start, and this is going to be my challenge. And I have 2 columns. What is fuel and what is not fuel? Like my example was egg yolks and potato chips. Red wine, I'm so sad. It's mostly all wine. I drink a little bourbon every once in a while, but wine is not a fuel for me. It really is a trigger. I don't like how I feel afterwards. So I have started putting it in this not for me column. But then the fun part is leaving this a little tablet by your refrigerator and taking time to start developing what is fuel for you. If you were on a vacation and you're renting a house, what would be the core items that you'd go and shop for? This is how powerful fuel testing and leaning into a higher percentage of eating fuel can be, is by really honoring that list. I honor it when I shop. I honor my fuel foods when I go to a buffet. People ask me, how do you handle buffet? I'm like, I scan it and I go, ooh, shrimp. It's really expensive. I don't usually buy it that often for myself, but it's fuel for me. So that would be how I approach like large eating occasions, is I focus on the fuel, and then if I want to have some treats, I have them on the side, but I make sure that plate is my plate. And it might look different than yours, and that's the beauty of it. Let your body lead the conversation. Drop the drama in your life. If you need some help with this, I'd love to answer any of your questions here on the live. Susie, you stayed the whole time. I love you. And thank you for that. But I know many of you are not able to be on live, and I will start doing these more on a consistent schedule, but I want you to offer your questions. It's like, how do I figure this out for me? What comes up for you when I even talk about this? What studies maybe have you heard that you just can't get out of your mind? Like, but Diana, they say that blank isn't good for you. Yeah, then you don't have to eat it. There's no drama around it. But when if we eliminated everything that everybody told us was bad, I think we'd have nothing left to eat. So focus on the things that work really well for you. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I know the podcast has been getting I've been getting a lot of feedback on it, that it is really helpful. So if you need to dive in a little more, please get onto Empowered Wellness for Leaders and take a chance to really see what the fuel testing would be like for you. Have a great day, and I can't wait to hear, what is fuel for you? What is a surprise? Maybe that's my question of the day. I'll post it. What is your surprise that became a fuel food? Mine was tortilla chips. Are not bad. They're at least not on the negative list. And that I couldn't eat egg yolks. And I love omelets and things like that, but they are just not for me. What's your surprise? Have a great day. Love to you all. Thanks, Susie, for being there. Bye.